Before we get started with today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Now let's dive in. Ever found yourself wondering why the price tag on your dream home seems to be rocketing its way towards the moon? The underlying cause might not be what you anticipate. It's Wall Street investors. Yes, you heard it right. Wall Street, the beating financial heart of the United States, is notably disrupting the housing market in a major way. Following the global financial crisis of 2008, many Wall Street investors turned their attention to the then struggling housing market. As the economy slowly recovered, these investors began to buy up huge numbers of distressed properties and convert them into rental residences. They saw an opportunity in the high demand rentals, especially among those who had lost their homes in the recession. Over the past decade, this trend has only accelerated. According to a 2020 report by the National Association of Realtors, institutional investors, entities that purchase at least 10 properties a year, now own over 2 million homes in the United States. This amounts to about 2% of the total number of single-family homes in the country, a significant jump from less than 0.5% in 2011. Involvement of Wall Street in the housing market has significantly driven up home prices. So next time you find the cost of your dream home mounting to the stars, you'll know who to blame: Wall Street investors. They are the puppeteers pulling at the strings of the housing market, creating ripples that affect home buyers across the nation. So what exactly is going on here? The current imbalance in the housing market largely stems from the attractive nature of property as an investment, regarded as a stable, tangible asset. Real promises significant returns. This enticing prospect has driven a disproportionate housing market where average home buyers struggle to compete with the financial clout of Wall Street investors. Interviews with average home buyers reveal their frustration. One home buyer who remained anonymous lamented, "It's just not a level playing field anymore. The big investors swoop in with cash offers that we can't compete with. It feels like we're being priced out of our own neighborhoods." This issue has not gone unnoticed by policymakers. Legislators, both at the state and federal levels, are considering laws designed to deter large-scale investors from monopolizing the housing market. Some of these proposed bills suggest enforcing sales directly to family buyers. Congresswoman Jane Smith, one of the proponents of such legislation, explains, "Housing should not be just another commodity for Wall Street to gamble on. We need to ensure that our policies protect the American dream of home ownership for all." Other proposals suggest implementing hefty taxes on institutional property owners. The aim of these measures is to restore balance in the housing market, ensuring fair opportunities for home ownership for all citizens. However, these legislative attempts haven't found solid ground yet. Critics argue that many large-scale investors have already started to reduce their home purchases. Investor Andrew Brown defends their role in the market. It's not like we're hoarding properties. In fact, most institutional investors have been cutting down on home purchases. Smaller investors are the ones stepping up, and they play a crucial role in the housing market. Indeed, smaller investors are progressively rising, increasing their market shares. These critics underscore how these smaller investors provide rental options in attractive neighborhoods, hence contributing to the housing market positively. They argue that these investors provide rental opportunities in popular neighborhoods, contributing to the housing market in a unique way. In conclusion, this hotly contested issue continues to stir debate with Wall Street lawmakers and home buyers all vying for their interests. It remains to be seen how this housing market saga will unfold. In conclusion, the issue of Wall Street investors and their role in escalating house prices is a complex one that extends into the future. The free market allows investors to pursue profitable ventures in all sectors, such as real estate. Yet, there is worry about the sway of these institutional investors on the housing market and the impact on the affordability and availability of homes for ordinary families. Before we continue our deep dive into this critical topic, take a moment to like our video and subscribe to our channel. Doing so will ensure that you stay informed with our latest updates on this and other important issues. Looking ahead, the proposed legislation is a potential solution that could mediate between these two opposing forces. It aims to strike a balance, keeping the market open while ensuring housing remains accessible. However, it's not without its critics. Some argue that such regulations could hamper market dynamics, which in turn could slow growth. On the hand, proponents believe it will level the playing field, giving ordinary buyers a fair shot at home ownership. Investors from Wall Street, with their vast resources, have played a major role in inflating these prices. Their heightened involvement in the housing market has sounded the alarm bells, leading to this proposed legislation that seeks to curtail their influence. Various experts have weighed in on this matter. Some predict a positive outcome where regulation could lead to a more balanced market, while others warn of potential economic fallout. As one expert put it, the housing market isn't just physical structure, it's a battleground where Wall Street meets Main Street. The effectiveness of these measures, however, remains to be seen. What's clear, though, is that the housing market is more than just a physical entity. It's a battlefield where Wall Street collides with Main Street. This is a developing story. We will continue bringing you expert opinions, predicted outcomes, and possible solutions as they unfold. In order to fully comprehend the current situation, it's imperative to understand the historical context and how the housing market has evolved over time. The housing market has always been a dynamic entity shaped by various factors such as economic conditions, population growth, and government policies. In the past, the housing market was primarily driven by individual buyers and sellers. It was a market where the dream of home ownership was a reachable goal for many families. However, the market has changed dramatically over the past few decades. The advent of institutional investors, particularly those from Wall Street, has significantly altered the landscape. These investors, armed with vast resources, have turned the housing market into a profitable venture, often at the expense of individual home buyers. Comparing the current situation to past housing market trends, it's clear that the balance has shifted. The market has become less accessible for ordinary families, with prices escalating beyond their reach. This is in stark contrast to past trends where the market was more balanced and home ownership was attainable for a wider demographic. Interestingly, there have been periods in history where the housing market has seen similar trends. For instance, during the housing bubble of the early 2000s, prices were driven up by speculative buying until the bubble burst, leading to a severe economic crisis. While the current situation is different, the trend of escalating prices and the central role of investors is a common thread. As we move forward, it's crucial to learn from these past trends and work towards a more balanced and accessible housing market. Whether the proposed legislation is the answer remains to be seen. However, what's clear is that a solution is needed to ensure the housing market remains a place where the dream of home ownership can become a reality for all. Voiceover, as we delve deeper into the intricacies of the housing market dynamics, it's important to broaden our perspective. The influence of institutional investors is not limited to the United States. It is a global phenomenon impacting housing markets across the world. Let's take a closer look at some examples. In Canada, for instance, Wall Street firms have been buying up homes at an unprecedented rate, mirroring the trend we see in the United States. With a low supply of homes and high demand, prices have soared, making it increasingly difficult for individual buyers to compete. On the other side of the globe, in Australia, a similar story unfolds. Sydney and Melbourne, two of Australia's largest cities, have seen a significant influx of institutional investors. This has resulted in skyrocketing prices and a steep decline in home ownership rates among younger generations. Interestingly, in countries like Germany and Japan, we see different trend. These nations have a more regulated housing market with stricter policies on who can buy property and how it can be used. While institutional investors are present, their impact is somewhat mitigated, leading to a more balanced housing market. These examples demonstrate that the influence of Wall Street investors on housing markets is not just a local issue, but a global one. It underscores the need for a comprehensive and international approach to address this challenge with solutions that ensure a fair and accessible housing market for all. As we continue to navigate this complex landscape, it's crucial to keep these global perspectives in mind, learning from the different strategies and policies that have been implemented worldwide. Voiceover, as we've seen, the housing market's dynamics are influenced by a myriad of factors, and Wall Street's growing presence is undeniably one of them. But what does this mean on a larger societal scale? When homes, often considered a basic human right, become commodities on a global trading floor, we need to pause and consider the ethical implications. In many cultures, a home is more than just a physical structure. It's a place of security, comfort, and family, a cornerstone of one's identity. But as institutional investors turn homes into assets, the human aspect can be lost, turning a necessity into a luxury. This raises fundamental moral questions about the right to housing and the role of the free market in determining who gets to have a roof over their head. Moreover, the trend of homes being bought up by institutional investors doesn't just home ownership rates. It can also lead to a rise in rental prices, pushing out long-term residents and altering the fabric of communities. This issue of gentrification, where wealthier individuals or entities displace lower income residents, is a contentious ethical debate that is closely tied to the rise of institutional investors in the housing market. In the face of these moral and ethical dilemmas, it's crucial to remember the human impact of these market forces. While investment can stimulate growth and development, it's equally important to consider who bears the brunt of these changes and to strive for solutions that balance progress with fairness. As we continue to explore the intricacies of the housing market, it's clear that the ethical implications of these trends warrant careful consideration and thoughtful dialogue. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind you to hit the like button if you found this information useful, and to subscribe to our channel for more insightful discussions like this one.